they're kind of onto something here. Like this is their best look. And I remember vividly the conversation all offseason, like, hey, is this going to be a 4-2-5 or a 3-3-5 defense? And many people were saying, well, why would you go away from the 3-3-5 as successful as it was throughout the final like month plus of last season? And then you go into this year and South Carolina, officially is saying, hey, we're going to do both. And they did early on. And then the reason you go away from a 3-3-5 is basically two words: Kyle and Dylan. And so being able to put them on the edge compared to sort of the situation last year is the answer. But they've almost entirely gone away from that look because this is going back to being essentially a 4-2-5 defense, and that's what they're going to base out of. Shoot, 95% of the time it feels like at this point. And like I remember the LSU game, they went to the 3-3-5 at one point early in that game, and LSU had a nice drive off of it, and people were going, why'd you go to a three-man look? And I'm like, well, that three-man front has been very kind to South Carolina for the last, going back to last year. But basically, when you have those guys coming off the edge, that's when that 4-2-5 can really be successful. When you don't have that pass rush off the edge, it's going to struggle.
I brought these numbers up to Preston, but I want to dive back into them coming up next, where I compare some major statistical categories on defense from last year compared to this year, and the results are pretty significant. We'll dive into that coming up. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs, Tyler, West, and Chris on your Wednesday here on The Game.
The Game Network in Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.5 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach.
100.3 The Game.
Everyone wants you to pay for their streaming app. You gotta have this one, you gotta have that one. Well, not us, here at The Game. Why? Because we love you more than they do. Just go to iTunes or Google Play and download the 107.5 The Game app for free. 107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
All right, guys, taking good care of your roof can be challenging, but you do not have to do it alone. Hit up our friends over at Classic Roofing, classicroofingsc.com or 803-590-7870. They specialize in both residential and commercial roofing projects, really anything in between that as well. Each roof is carefully worked on by a group of top industry professionals that have the necessary skills and technical know-how to deliver outstanding performance and help enhance your curb appeal to your property, all while, this is very important, staying within your budget and your timeline. If you go to classicroofingsc.com, you can get another idea of some of the things they can do at your home, and also you can go ahead and set up a free estimate. You might be saying, why would I want to have a free estimate if I don't have any issues with my roof? Well, one, you might have issues you're not aware of, and two, you can go ahead and let them give you an idea of how much life you have left on that roof. So hit them up right now, 803-590-7870.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevy, where back to cool means award-winning savings. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Need a roof? Trust Crescent Construction. With over 20,000 roofs installed and counting, they've got the experience you need. They specialize in residential roofing, commercial roofing, and general contracting. Visit CrescentCarolina.com today for free estimates and free inspections. That's right, no cost, no commitment. Crescent Construction, quality you can count on. For all your roofing and construction needs, visit CrescentCarolina.com now.
Kickstart your day at 9 a.m. with your Carolina Pick-Me-Up, sponsored by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you're injured, call 09s today.
Get George Sink Law Firm on the line. Call 999-999.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Clark. Garnet Trust is hoping to build the best and most sustainable NIL program in the country. To find out how you can get involved, go on over to garnettrust.com. You can support Gamecock athletes there, get access to exclusive content, and help Garnet Trust build the best NIL program in the country.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
The Gamecock men's basketball season is almost here, and we need you to help us pack Colonial Life Arena all season long. Season tickets are on sale now and start as low as $90. That's less than $6 per game to see 2024 SEC Coach of the Year Lamont Parrish try and get back to the NCAA tournament for the second year in a row. For more information and to secure your season tickets, visit thegamecockclub.com/MBB today. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, the ultimate lunch lineup boasts wall-to-wall sports and scenic views. When you're hungry and in a hurry, the Scratch Kitchen delivers lunch in the clutch. I mean, where else can you order a 29-degree draft beer and a quickie combo on your lunch break? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks Scratch Kitchen scores every time. Dig into hand-smashed burgers, chef-inspired flatbreads, and more at your local lodge.
Hey Gamecock fans, Ben Cato, third generation owner of Cato's Power Equipment. I'm here with an exciting financing offer to help get you into a brand new Gravely zero-turn lawnmower. Now through the end of October, we're offering same as cash pricing on any Gravely that's financed through our TD Yard Card program. TD Yard Card offers 0% interest plans for up to 48 months, so you don't have to pay more just to pay over time. This offer won't last long, so come find your dream mower at Cato's Power Equipment, located at 4012 West Beltline Boulevard.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
With Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head.
on the Game Network.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, Chris Clark along with you on your Wednesday here on the game. Carolina Calls coming up tonight at 6 o'clock here on the game in Columbia as well as in Myrtle Beach. I brought this up to Preston earlier on this morning. We're doing the early game. Since it's a bye, we can kind of take time to assess this without an opponent coming up this weekend. The staggering difference statistically between this team on defense a year ago to where it is now. And again, we brought this up earlier on this week. This time last year, Carolina was in the midst of an over October where they didn't generate any takeaways, didn't win any games, and we were really questioning the future of Clayton White as the defensive coordinator here at South Carolina. Fast forward to this year, and they have one of the best defenses, not only in the SEC, but in all of college football across most major statistical categories. Just kind of run through some of these here. A year ago, Carolina was 66th in points allowed. They're 23rd this year. Rush defense went from 67th to 14th. Pass defense went from 101st to 36th. Total defense 90th to 16th. Sacks 105th to 2nd. And then takeaways from 72nd to 4th. On all fronts, this defense leaps and bounds better than it was a year ago. And we obviously talk about when you have a pass rush like South Carolina has, when you have the effect on the quarterback that it has, it's going to allow the rest of that defense to fall in line and be better overall, which it has.
This defense, and I think this might be one of the best compliments you could give a defensive staff and just a defense as a whole. It looks to me like this is how defense is supposed to be played. I feel like there's like some teach tape here. Like there are probably defensive coordinators that have no dog in the fight watching South Carolina play defense going a lot of times, hey, that's the way it's supposed to look. And, I think there's 100 different ways you can get there. Just like on offense, there's 100 different ways you can get to success. But ultimately, there are kind of these tenets that you have to have in order to be successful. And some of it goes back to just, hey, rush and cover. However you get there, you can be playing zone on the back end. You can be playing man on the back end. You can be saying, hey, we're going to be multiple as heck. Or you can be Kentucky and say, no, we're just going to do what we do incredibly well with a high level of detail. Up front, you can be a rush 4, you can be a rush 6, you can be everything in between, but ultimately you got to find a way to win some battles up front, and then it has to all work together hand in hand. You have to be able to tackle, like when you get those situations when you're presented, you work so hard to get yourself in a spot to get a guy on the ground, you have to actually get him on the ground. So I think for Carolina right now, Chris, I just see relatively few holes in this defense. Like what are the holes in this defense? I don't know. Like, you can nitpick a little bit and say, well, hey, there could be a little better here, a little better there. But for the most part, they've been fantastic, and it's been at all three levels of the defense. You have guys performing well at all three levels, and even your guys who are not your quote-unquote superstars. Look at that cornerback spot opposite of OD. Carolina felt good about that spot, but you never truly know until you actually go see your guys go play against legitimate opposition. And to their credit, all those guys, Judge has stepped up. Bakari, when he's been in there, has stepped up. And so that to me has solidified what would have maybe been one area where offensive coordinators are going, hey, let's pick on that spot. They've not been able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's more nitpicking when you look at this defense. I was honestly surprised by that rush defense number. I thought it would have been a little bit higher, still good, but what did I say, 14th, I think? That's a huge improvement. That's been a pretty consistent problem, for this defense is, you look up and a lot of weeks here's 150 yards, here's 175 yards rushing, and that's difficult. It's hard to get off the field. The nitpicky things, if you want to go there about this defense, is there have been times where they have shown that they'll give up some runs, right? Like we saw that on that one drive against Kentucky, but I'm sitting here saying that one drive. The LSU game, especially in the second half, LSU found some good runs, broke some tackles. I think a big part of that, actually, in terms of why they've given up some of those types of runs, is because of the way that South Carolina plays. Just the way the defense is structured is to kind of maximize havoc. These guys are running around. When you play like that, sometimes you have a little bit more of a propensity for like getting out of your gap or, overrunning a play or maybe trying to do a little bit too much. We've also seen them give up some explosives, not a ton, but, Oklahoma had one explosive play. LSU, they had some explosives. We saw it against Ole Miss. But LSU, really good offensive team. That was probably that was the one game, and that game was just so crazy anyway. But that was the game where you look at the defense, and it wasn't like it was elite from a pass rushing standpoint, especially early in the game. But LSU was the one team that could put together some drives. They had an 80-yard drive. They had, I think, 2 75-yard drives. For the most part, though, man, I said this earlier about Oklahoma, and it's true of most teams. This is a hard defense to line up against and say, we're just going to go up and down the field, convert a few third downs on a drive at 75 yards. Like, it's hard to do that against this defense because they do wreak so much havoc. And unless you're really staying ahead of schedule, if you're getting into third and longs against this team, that makes it really hard.
Well, I think maybe an overlooked element to it, man. Because have they given up some runs here or there? Have there been some, hey, they're getting – I feel like you sit there and you go, hey, there was a 5-yard run. There was a 5-yard run. Hey, they got 6 on that. And you're going, they're having a little success running the ball. But then from an average standpoint, how many times are you almost sitting there watching the game overlooking that was a no-yard gain. That was a 1-yard gain. That was a no-yard gain. And so obviously you average those things out, and that's why those numbers are so good. But I think, dude, how many times – and I feel like they improved some as a run defense last year. It was a little bit clouded by all the other issues. How many times, especially you go like 2 seasons ago, how many times did they give up a run that same run in terms of what happens up front, it might have, let's say, a run that's just a typical, hey, there's a stalemate up front. Like O-line and D-line, probably both. Nobody's like, oh, we won that down, but nobody's like, we didn't get knocked backwards, but we didn't get, somebody just flying into the backfield from the defensive side. So stalemate on the D-line, but then how many of those runs that could have been 3, 4, 5 yards become 10, 12, 13, 14 yards because your linebackers could not get to the spot?
Yeah.
I feel like this defense, their team speed, even when it's like a decent run, one of those runs where the opponent's going, okay, that was a good start to this drive or good start to this sequence of downs. You're going, well, they still got him on the ground after 5 yards. You know what I mean? Like they close those holes so fast, and they run sideline to sideline, man. I'm telling you, the Ole Miss game was ugly in a lot of ways all the way around, but that fourth down stop for the defense where Ole Miss tried to attack the edge and I think D. Knight and Kilgore just closed space and ran it down. Last year's defense is not running that play down. It's a first down to the outside. And so I feel like they just, as much havoc as they create, they have not given up those big explosive runs for the most part, it feels like. They've had a bust or two, as we know, in coverage at times, but they close these things down in a hurry. And I think some of that goes back to, as much as we have talked about how improved and how impressive the D-line is, those three linebackers, you look at Debo, D. Knight, Bam Martin-Scott, they're playing at a high level. And then to top it all off, Nick E., he is your eraser on the back end that has shut things down if somehow you do get a run that pops past the first and second level.
And one more quick stat. So we know PFF is just a reference, but I did think it was interesting. In terms of overall grade nationally, South Carolina third in terms of their defensive grade overall per PFF. That's behind Texas and Mississippi, Ole Miss, who are tied for number one. So South Carolina third.
In the entire country.
And then their pass rush grade is second in the country behind just Michigan. Their coverage grade is second behind only Texas. So, any way you slice it, stats, grades, eyeball test, it looks good this year.
Yeah, well, which again goes back to why you don't want to waste this great defense with a year that may not be up to what you thought it was going to be. Speaking of which, I'm going to make your case coming up next, as we do on Wednesdays here on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs on the Game.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach.
The Game Network.
It's back! The Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. Just go to 1075thegame.com and register. The pot starts at $100. Every week it increases $100 if Carolina doesn't score a special teams touchdown. But if the Gamecocks do score a special teams touchdown, you could win the pool. Again, just go to 1075thegame.com and register. It's the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest from 1075 The Game.
All right, many people are now flipping their thermostat, from what I hear in the Midlands, from air to heat, maybe just at night. Maybe you're having to flip back and forth. And you may find when you do that you're having some problems with your system, some questions. Maybe it's not running up to just how you want it to run. Hit up our friends at Krantz Cooling. Krantz with a K, Cooling with a K, KrantzCooling.com, and they can help you out. Since 1983, they have been a family-owned HVAC service right here in the Midlands. Justin Krantz, shout out to him. He's the general manager. He and his family have been serving Midlands homes and businesses, again, since 1983. 803-672-3224. Great folks. They do a lot in the Midlands community, and you can also trust them, just like I've trusted them, just like my mom who just moved to the area. Trust them with their HVAC needs. That's KrantzCooling.com.
Quietest dishwasher in the land. Like a Bosch. Dishes drier than the desert sand. Like a Bosch. Wash the dishes like a Bosch.
Clean like a Bosch. Check out the selection of Bosch dishwashers at the Nest in the Vista.
Hey, this is Brian Glenn, owner of Village Idiot Pizza. You know your favorite Columbia pizza shop is franchising? We're excited to welcome franchise operators to our team as we grow throughout the Southeast. Ever thought you'd like to see a Village Idiot in your community? I'm talking to you, Lexington, Irmo, Chapin, Blythewood. Village Idiot Pizza has been bringing people together to community and pizza in Columbia for over 30 years. If you know someone who's ready to join a proven system and be their own boss, join our village. For more info, visit villageidiotpizza.com.
Hey, Columbia, Scott here with Traditions Fine Jewelers, telling you about the diamond buying difference when you purchase a diamond from us. No matter if you're looking at mined diamonds or lab-grown diamonds, at Traditions Fine Jewelers, we have a huge selection of both. And which you choose is up to you, but either way, you always get trade-in value of the diamond solitaire you purchase. When you spend over $1,500, you'll get a limited lifetime warranty when you get your ring checked every 6 months. Traditions has an in-house jeweler with over 30 years experience to take care of your every need. Ring sizing, stone setting, or if you just want to come by and get your ring cleaned. At Traditions Fine Jewelers, we have hundreds of mountings to see, touch, and feel, and to try on, or we can special order or custom create the perfect engagement ring for you. Traditions Fine Jewelers, 5134 Sunset in Lexington, or in the Village at Sandhills. Traditions Fine Jewelers, where the Midlands get engaged.
Is joint pain, soreness, and achiness getting in the way of your best life? Football legend Emmitt Smith refuses to back down to pain. That's why he's a huge advocate for QC Kinetics and their natural approach to getting you relief.
Look, we get one trip around, so I wouldn't ever let pain stop me from hanging out with my race team, traveling with my family, or golfing with my friends.
Emmitt's got it right. And QC Kinetics uses regenerative medicine to relieve that never-ending pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back. And the best news, there's nothing foreign being introduced into your body. Just your own body's natural healing properties. No surgery or no downtime.
If pain's holding you back, maybe it's tennis, pickleball, running, hiking, or spending time with special people in your life, what are you waiting for? This is precious time. Get out there and get over to QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. 803-281-6860.
Are you a Gamecock fan that's looking for flexibility to attend the games you want without committing to season tickets? If so, the Gamecock Go Pass is for you. For only $20 a month, your Gamecock Go Pass subscription provides you with access to all non-conference football games, most men's and women's basketball and baseball games, and all softball, soccer, and volleyball games. Plus, you have the ability to add on tickets for conference football games and premier basketball and baseball games for an additional cost. To learn more and sign up today, visit thegamecockclub.com/go.
What you're talking about.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet
on the Game Network.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West and Chris along with you on this Wednesday. Appreciate everybody checking us out on the Game TV. Sponsored by our friends over at Shepherd's Glass and powered by friends over at Integrated Media. Of course, you can also catch us as always on the 1075 The Game app. Just go to your respective app store, give it a download, and take us with you wherever you go. Just because we're on a bye week does not mean we skip one of our favorite segments of the week, that being Make Your Case.
Presented by Gamecock Central.
Make your case for this week. Pretty simple. 5 more games left to go in the regular season. South Carolina sitting at 4-3. Make your case on what South Carolina's regular season record will be when it's all said and done.
My goodness.
It's a heavy question, Tyler.
I just did a Kai Kroger-esque punt to Wes.
So it was a great punt?
It was a great punt. Boomer.
Down inside the 5?
The boomer.
Man, so I said 7-5 to start the year, like before the season. So I'm gonna say 7-5 just because
still on track.
It's right there. So you can go as highly detailed or as big picture to answer this, but so 5 games left. If you assume a win over Wofford, then that gives you 5-3. And so can you split A&M, Missouri, Vandy, and Clemson? I think if the team we've seen most of the year is on the field, then that's very realistic. I don't think Missouri is who they've been hyped up to be. I still think, congrats to Vandy. They're having a great year. I don't know if that Vandy offense, as exciting and as good as they've been compared to most Vandy offenses, is going to have much of an answer for the speed of South Carolina's defense. So, really those 2 games are winnable, but even if you drop one of them, I think A&M and Clemson, again, we talked defense travels too to Clemson. That's going to be a fascinating game. I think winning 2 out of those 4 is just very realistic, even if we talk about how week to week college football is right now. Even if you have a clunker in there where you just drop another one where everybody's back to fire everybody mindset, I think it would even out enough that I still feel pretty comfortable saying 7-5. I think 7-5 more realistic at this point than 8-4 or 6-6.
So follow up real quick. How did you structure your 7-5? Like, what's been different between? Like, did you pick each individual game, even if it was in your head?
All of them correct. No, just kidding. No, I first of all, I think people who try to predict the schedule before the season, like game by game,
that's hard.
It's hard, but it's just silliness. Like, it's not reality.
Yeah, because the opinions of teams are going to shift.
It changes
so much.
It's not reality. If you nail it, like, I guess, congrats. But I think there's a high degree of luck involved in that. I think you have to look at it more big picture. I look at it more like, can you split these games? Can you do that? Can you do this? Can you do that? I mean, to be honest, I looked at it like, can you split Kentucky and LSU, and can you win one game out of the three?
Yep.
Well, that would be Ole Miss, Bama, and Oklahoma. Yep. So that they've done that, and to me, that puts you on pace for what they've done. A&M's a little better than what I thought. Missouri's a little worse. Vandy is obviously, like, they're clearly better than any of us thought, but I still think Carolina wins that game. And Clemson, that feels like with these two teams a toss-up to me. Like, I don't think Clemson has necessarily been tested with the athleticism that Carolina is going to present to that game. Clemson's offense.
Except for the Georgia game, yeah.
Well, that's my point, though. They've lost that game.
Yeah,
like in the rest
handily.
of this stretch where people are going, oh, Clemson looks like they're back. Mm-hmm. Have they really been tested by a defensive front like the front six that Carolina's going to put out there? We're getting way ahead of ourselves into the weeds here, but that was my big picture take. It's like I dislike when people are like, oh, like, hey, how many wins do you think Carolina can get? Oh, I think we can get 8 with the bowl game. How do you think that? You don't even know who you're going to play in a bowl game. You know what I'm saying? Everybody tacks on the bowl as a win.
Yeah.
I'm like, you literally have no idea.
Somebody had them projected to go to the Vegas Bowl with Colorado. That would be very entertaining. Now, you're not going to see Shedeur or Travis Hunter.
Why not?
Because they got a lot of money to make it the next level. May not even see Dion at that point. Who knows?
Okay, it's not as fun sounding anymore.
Local radio host says Dion to resign. I'm going to put that.
Well, he's not going to take any questions from me now. I'm okay with that.
That's right. I think to be safe, I think you could go 7-5. I mean, I agree with all your logic, Wes. Like, you look at these, you need a couple more, to get to the bowl. You need 3 more to get to that 7 level. So, if you count Wofford, then you got to split the other 4 games, and that's doable. And look, there's a range there, though. I mean, you could beat Wofford and lose all the other games. You could win out. Like this game, this team can play. I think we do know that they can play with anybody that they've seen on the schedule. They've dropped a couple of those close games, though, and so odds are when you're looking through the schedule, there are probably going to be a couple more very close games, and it's going to come down to a handful of plays. So I have a very low conviction level on saying that or picking a final record because, the same point kind of stands about like trying to pick the schedule before the season, even though we have 7 weeks of knowledge about what these teams look like. Man, I don't feel like even any better about picking a game from week to week. It's really hard to pick games. Not that I'm great at it in a normal year, but like every week, 2 teams from the SEC line up, and you're like, for the most part, I could see it going any way this week. So it's really hard.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I think 7-5 is probably about where this team's going to end up. And that Wofford game, again, I think we're all chalking that up as a win. I think you can go on the road and beat Vanderbilt. That is a team that is pretty good on offense, but I look at a couple weeks ago, Kentucky, perhaps the best defense they played, kept them to just 20 points. So I think you can definitely go in there and keep them at a manageable number. And look, your defense is going to keep you in pretty much every single one of these games. Like you said, if they continue to play the way that they played. So between A&M, Missouri, and Clemson. I think you can get at least one of those games. Now, which one it is, that's up for debate. And again, the thought about these teams going to change week to week. I know Missouri's had South Carolina's number, especially in the Drinkwitz era. We'll see how A&M is coming out of playing likely a very physical game against LSU this upcoming weekend. And like we've said, Clemson just hasn't really been tested a whole lot since that Georgia game week number 1. How good are they by the time you get there on that final game of the year after Thanksgiving? So I think you're in a good spot right now. Again, you'd love to be talking about, a 9-3 or a 10-2 or something like that, but we'll see what happens. But I think 7-5 is very doable in getting yourself to a decent bowl game, which again was the goal going into the season, to at least get yourself back to the postseason in some way.
Yeah, and I think that's just playing the numbers. Like if you told me, hey, predict each game, yeah, like Chris said, it's going to be a struggle. I think it's more like, all right, can you split these two? Can you split those two and then beat Wofford? Like over time, like I don't know if we have a great feel for what any team's going to do from week to week, but we do have enough data about over time sort of how it may play out. Would it be shocking if Carolina gets a little luck back and just goes on a run? I don't think that's completely out of the realm of possibility either. Is it possible that you lose a few close games and it ends up being 6-6? That's obviously possible as well. I think for them, what we do know is that they're going to keep battling. Like that's one thing this team has shown us, among many other things, is that they're going to keep kind of, even if they have to deal with adversity, they are so veteran on the defensive side and they're so bought in that they're going to keep hammering away. And I think that gives you some, if you're a Gamecock fan, some confidence that they can finish the year on a high note, especially with the fact that so far, I just saw this come across. Phil Steele, South Carolina, number 7, toughest schedule in the country now based on what they've actually played. So I believe this is sort of adjusted for what's actually happened so far. It's always hard, but I don't get the sense that this Final 5 stretch is just unmanageable compared to what has happened so far and based on what we know about this elite defense.
Again, the Gamecocks on a bye this upcoming weekend. They'll take on A&M coming up next weekend, but plenty of football on tap for this bye week for the Gamecocks, starting off with some NFL football tomorrow night. Thursday Night Football, Vikings and Rams, who you can listen to right here on the game with pregame coverage starting at 7:30. We'll come back and wrap up today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour as a former Gamecock great going to be honored this upcoming women's basketball season. We'll hit that coming up next. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on the game.
107.5 The Game.
In Columbia.
100.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.3 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. We all love streaking. I mean, streaming. Until we have to pay for it. But not when you stream the game.
And how much does it cost?
It's free. Just go to iTunes or Google Play and download the 107.5 The Game app. And stream for no charge. And listen for no charge.
This is Maggie Gray with a Sports Minute, sponsored by Angie. Angie makes it easier than ever to get your home projects done well. Get started at Angie.com. The Kansas City Chiefs have made a trade, acquiring former All-Pro wideout DeAndre Hopkins from the Titans, and the back-to-back champs just got scarier. Hopkins could be the perfect possession receiver and weapon for Patrick Mahomes to keep drives alive and help KC to a three-peat. I'm Maggie Gray.
You can live out your MasterChef dreams when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
O'Reilly. Need a little help? O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. Need advice? We've got advice. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Exceptional customer service. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. It's time for mortgage protection with Preston and your top broker, Benji Getsy from Buford Lending. Rates continue to fall. Hey, Benji, give us this week's Mortgage Minute.
6 straight weeks of declining rates and a Fed rate cut, now is the time. VA 30-year fixed, 4.9%, APR 5.2, and the VA IRRRL, no income, no appraisal, close in 10 days, 4.8%, APR 5.1. 30-year conventional looking good, 5.5%, APR 5.8. Second home, investors, 6.3%, APR 6.7, and the DSCR, fix and flip financing, 6.9%, APR 7.3. And don't forget construction lending, call for details. Thanks for shopping your rate with Buford Lending. We want to be your broker. Rate subject to change, equal housing lender, credit restrictions apply, NMLS 1703543.
For more information on how Benji and his team at Buford Lending can help you, visit them online at buford.mortgage or call 843-524-2404.
It's better over here. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits, and if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head
on the Game Network.
Around these parts of South Carolina, you always going to get number 1 votes. So, thank you. So when you coming to see us, we need a date. We need a date because your jersey is going to be retired. It's that time. Harvest.
You guys, everyone wants me to cry today. No way.
Stop all that crying. We don't listen. Get yourself together. Get yourself together. Get yourself together. It's time. We're happy for you.
Thank you. Oh, thanks, guys. Oh.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris along with you on your Wednesday. You may have seen that video yesterday from Gamecock social media. Dawn Staley calling Asia Wilson, letting her know that her jersey will be retired at Colonial Life Arena, coincidentally, on February the 2nd, 2-2, as they take on Auburn that day. As an all-time Gamecock great, obviously the statue is already out there, but a well-deserved honor seeing the number 22 get retired here at South Carolina. She's obviously done plenty for the school and is obviously excelling in the WNBA as well.
Yeah, 2-2, perfect time to do it, obviously. And, I mean, yeah, if you already have a statue, this is kind of a formality, I think.
Right.
But still, pretty special. Great way to celebrate your former players and just sort of continue that legacy of what they've meant to your program. And also, I mean, what she's doing at the WNBA level is also unprecedented. So her jersey will probably be retired one day deep into the future at the WNBA level as well.
Wes, were you there during Asia Wilson's announcement ceremony?
I was.
Yeah, that's right. That was...
Were you there?
I was there. It was loud. You know, that was one where, like, you look at it and it just struck me of like, man, this is a women's basketball announcement, you know? And it was a lot bigger and felt bigger than a lot of football, including like some big time football announcements that I'd been to, you know, and there were a bunch of reasons for that. You know, at the time Asia committed to South Carolina out of high school at Heathwood Hall, women's basketball was like kind of on the rise, but not what it was now. Like the past couple years we've really seen an uptick, you know, in the interest, more than an uptick. But, I think, you know, she was the number 1 player in the country. She was local. You know, a lot of stuff had been written about her. Everybody knew she had kind of an aura about her. Potentially going to play for Dawn Staley, program-changing type of recruit. So it just always, when something like this comes across, I always think about that day and how big and how important it felt. Man, it turned out to be that and so much more.
To me, it felt very similar to being there when Marcus Lattimore committed to South Carolina football.
Yeah.
It just had like you just felt like you were at something that was going to matter for that particular program. It was going to elevate that program. I mean, how different are things if Asia Wilson goes to UConn or something? You know, like that. To me, that's what really, like, they were good at the time. They were really good at the time, Carolina was, but that was the biggest step in elevating them in terms of adding a difference-making player. And then soon after, all of a sudden you look and they're just landing top player after top player after top player. You can look at everybody who's followed behind her, but when she did it, it wasn't necessarily the just straight up default accepted thing to do if you were the number one prospect in the country.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, and look, any South Carolina obviously sends a lot of women to the NBA, WNBA, and that's a ringing endorsement for the program in and of itself. But when you can legitimately say the best women's basketball player on the face of the earth, and only went to South Carolina, but is from here locally, that is going to continue to generate more content for your program and continue to bring in high level athletes as they're doing each and every year. We're obviously excited to see what this next class is going to be and see who the next future potential Asia Wilson-esque player is going to be for Dawn Staley's crew over the next couple of years.
Well, Joyce Edwards.
She's got a shot.
Whoo. Guys, she is talented. Holy cow. I'm looking forward to seeing we saw what Aaliyah Boston did following in Asia's footsteps, but now Joyce Edwards, watch out. Even with all the talent they already have, as a true freshman being on this team, I feel like she is going to be a huge part of what they do on the court this year.
Yeah, that really that's a good point. It really stands out when you've got, they returned so much from last year's team, almost everybody. And then, first of all, they're out there, and it was an exhibition, but they can treat a regular season game like this too, or heck, the NCAA tournament, where they're just coming at you in waves. Here's our bench. Here's our second team. It's probably better than your top girls, right? But you got Joyce Edwards out there, and she looks the part, among big-time talent on this South Carolina roster. So, yeah, she can do a lot. Very athletic, very smart, plays kind of with a certain attitude. She's going to be something. It'll be fun to watch this year.
Plenty of excitement for the women's team as they look to defend their perfect season in the national championship from this past year. 12 days away. Coming up a week from Monday, they'll be taking on Michigan in the Naismith Hall of Fame Series out there in Vegas, 7:30 on Monday, November 4th. I believe that's also the same day the men's team gets going as well. So college basketball is about to be in full swing as the month of November gets rolling here. Plenty more football to talk about coming up tomorrow as we navigate through the bye week. It has been the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs on your Wednesday halftime show with Terry Ford coming up next here on The Game.
.1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
If you're hungry, I've got a recommendation for you, and it's our friends at Firehouse Subs. Shout out to Larry Chandler, owner-operator of 1415, soon to be, locations all around the Midlands. We're going to be at the new Sparkleberry location next Monday. More details to come on that. For now, there are 14 Midlands locations of Firehouse Subs. You can go check it out today, firehousesubs.com, or use my favorite method. Download the Firehouse Subs app. It's free to download. It's free to register for an account. And when you use the Rapid Rescue to go, you can not only avoid the wait and your sandwich, your food will be waiting on you when you get to the closest location near you. You can also earn rewards toward future Firehouse Subs purchases. Free Firehouse. That's good stuff. Check out the new limited time Thanksgiving turkey sub. It's back, or any of your Firehouse Subs favorites. Again, firehousesubs.com, or download the Firehouse Subs app today.
The Columbia Chamber is teaming up with Greater Casey West Columbia Chamber to host a friendly sporting clay tournament Wednesday, November 20th. This unique and entertaining fundraiser will consist of a friendly sporting clay competition, followed by prizes for teams and individuals with lunch and a post-tournament reception. The proceeds will benefit both chambers to continue to support and promote their business communities. For details on registration and sponsorships, visit ColumbiaChamber.com. Don't miss the Sporting Clay Tournament, November 20th.
They say perfection is a journey, and at Carolina Stone Craftsman, that journey leads us to just outside Columbia in Chapin. Our marble, our granite, our quartz, they're sculpted with the highest craftsmanship, honed with family values, and delivered with professional results. Explore the craftsmanship of each slab, see all our new showroom has to offer, and experience our custom hardscapes. Crafted to perfection, experience Carolina Stone Craftsman's workmanship. Take us for granted. Your journey to perfection starts with us, Carolina Stone Craftsman, just beyond Columbia and Chapin and beyond your expectations. CarolinaStoneCraftsman.com.
The Gamecock men's basketball season is almost here, and we need you to help us pack Colonial Life Arena all season long. Season tickets are on sale now and start as low as $90. That's less than $6 per game to see 2024 SEC Coach of the Year Lamont Parrish try and get back to the NCAA tournament for the second year in a row. For more information and to secure your season tickets, visit thegamecockclub.com.